Oh, no,
So I
I wasn't
usually
talking to you, girl. Hold on. Siri thought that I
oh,
said something. Okay.
okay. This is off to a great start.
Yeah,
It's like almost like we worked together for 6 years flawlessly.
you would think.
Mm. So I usually start this with "Hi, Mom," but, I guess "Hi, Maya's mom."
That is that is one of
That
my
that that is a
personalities.
that is a title.
It is.
Um, yeah, so we don't usually have a guest on. We don't have a lot of guests. We haven't had a guest on in quite some time, but I told you guys because, my mom will be absent for the next couple of weeks, we're gonna invite some friends on for the podcast. This is Holly O'Connor, which you still go by Holly O'Connor,
Yeah.
which you are Holly O'Connor again because
I
you weren't there for a minute.
I was gonna say, well, I still go by that because that's actually my name. So
I gotta catch back up a little bit too. We should probably catch up.
let's do that. Maybe we do that before we jump into the deep end.
Are you still married?
No, I'm going to be married in a couple of months, but I
We have
am
a lot to
not.
catch up on this podcast.
Clearly. Oh, that's a lot going
Where's
on.
your husband? Bring him on.
He's not. I don't have a husband right now. But isn't that
Obviously,
song?
Holly and I haven't worked together in quite some time, clearly. No, Holly was my co-host from 2007 to 2012.
Yes.
Or she calls it the worst years of her life.
No, actually, now I've been through worse. So you don't really
Okay.
have
Perfect.
the time.
Perfect. And at that time, up to 2012, it was probably the worst years of her life. So
It
that's
was
good.
the most professionally difficult,
Okay,
perhaps.
there we go. And I still hold the title for that. So
Yeah.
I'm honored. I'm
Good
still
for
honored to
you.
do that. No, but Holly's here. Actually, I wanted to bring Holly on because it's funny. We worked together, and Miguel was on the show with us as well. We actually started our morning show career together. A bunch of kids in Panama City, Florida. You guys still I get requests all the time for us to do a reunion, and probably once a quarter we talk about doing it.
Yeah.
And I will text you guys, and all of a sudden, like, life gets crazy again, and we just don't do it.
We need to do
And
it. Like, why can't we at least just do a podcast?
it's life. Like, like, you guys actually have a lot going on, and then
Like,
I
right
don't. And
now,
then
I cannot. But like maybe
I,
later this year.
I know it will happen. How about this before the end of 26?
Okay.
That gives us 10 more months
Yes, I'm
to put
in.
it together. But
Yes.
before the end of 26, we'll put it together. I promise.
It'll happen
Everybody.
in like December, at the end of December.
It'll be a
how
New
we
Year's
do.
Eve special.
Yes.
It'll be for your birthday. That's what we'll
Yes.
do. That's
There
how
you
we'll
go.
put it all together. That's how we started, man. That was the very first morning show experience, and most of you guys know this story by now. These guys now do a show. They're back in Tampa, which we'll have to talk about as well because you guys just started again.
Yeah.
And you came to mind. Actually, you were one of the first people I thought about, yet did not text after I found out that my sister had a brain tumor, because I was like, well, you just started a morning show, so I probably should give you a second before I'm just like, hey, by the way, I need to talk to you about brain tumors because my sister has a brain tumor, but I also know you're going through a lot right now starting a morning show. So this episode is going to be broken up into two parts. For the next couple of weeks, we're going to break these episodes up into two parts. We'll do the regular Mama's Boy episode today, and then Thursday we'll catch up with Holly and more Mama's Boy. I already told her there's one question that I have that I'm just dying to ask her, and it's
I don't even what are we walking into?
it's very that guy Kramer coded.
Oh God, I figured.
Yeah, it's
See, that's why I'm
very
like, what is what? Just
well, and I'll give you this teaser up front. There was our producer Charlotte. All these radios change so much. Clearly, like just the way we handle situations.
Yeah.
And I always try to explain to the young generation that just the way we handle situations now is so different than how we handled radio back then. And I think I was taking probably some type of I think this conversation started because I was having to take an HR training for work.
Right.
And I think it just came up with how we used to handle things back then versus how we handle things now. And I was about to text you guys this week asking how we would have handled a certain situation back in the day, and I was like, man, the show got busy, and I was like, oh damn. So I was like, perfect. Holly's on the podcast, so we're going to talk about this. We'll talk about that more, Mama's Boy. So just know these next couple episodes of the next couple of weeks, as we have friends of the podcast on, will be broken up into two different episodes. But clearly, I know that everyone's just kind of wondering what happened. Now, before with my sister over on Friday, before I give an update on that, though, let's give your history with brain tumors because you actually currently have a brain tumor and you actually have the same exact brain tumor that my sister has,
Yeah.
a meningioma brain tumor. And I didn't actually know that you guys had the same exact brain tumor. So I was like, hey, so I texted you. I was like, so what kind of brain tumor do you have? Because I know you have one, and not only did you have one, but your mom had the same exact one. So let's like give your history, I guess, of brain tumors.
Right, because I'm like, well, I am here as an expert on brain tumors, if you want to.
Right, at the same time. It's not here to talk about this nonsense at all, but we're gonna
Right.
do a little
It's
yuck
like you
yuckness
need a
later.
little title on the bottom that's just like Holly O'Connor, brain tumor expert. So,
Yeah, right, slash radio local radio host.
correct,
Yeah,
and Maya's
right.
mom. Um,
And Maya's mom. Yeah.
so, here's my backstory with brain tumors. I feel like anybody that has experience with brain tumors doesn't really want that experience because
Mm,
nobody asks for this. But back in 2017, my mom had a fall, and I mean, she was bad, like banged up. And how old was she at that point? I want to say she was late 60s. Um, might have been like 68 or 69 at the time, and so she had this fall and she looked awful. I was like, Girl, we didn't get you to the ER because I don't know, like, you fell. I don't know what if you hit your head and, we think you're okay, but let's just get you checked out." So they did a CAT scan to make sure she was okay. And the technician came out after they did this CAT scan and he was like as white as a ghost and he was just
mm,
panicked. And we were like, I mean, is she okay? Like, she fell. She looks fine now, but and they're like, he's like, no, no, you're going to have to go see a doctor because we found something. And like, he
mm,
was very cagey about it. And I was like, this poor tech did not want to break the news to my mom that she had a massive brain tumor, which is what ended up happening. We did have to we went to the hospital. We went to not the best hospital. Um, and everything kind of like just snowballed from there. So turns out she did have a brain tumor, a meningioma. And when we got she then did an MRI. And when I got the MRI back, I mean, this thing took up like half of the space of the left side of her brain.
oh my god, so
It was
huge.
huge. And everyone was just in shock that she was just walking around.
And so she had no side effects or anything?
No.
Or
Now,
any kind of like,
looking
eh,
back, hindsight is 2020. I almost feel like yes, there were signs cognitively. As a matter of fact,
mhm,
one time, like months before she fell, she was like suddenly very worried that she might be like coming down or like might be getting dementia. And I was like, I am not dealing with that. I was like, no, you're not. No, you're fine. No, I'm not. No, you're
yeah,
not. Um, and so I think looking back cognitively, she was having some symptoms, but we would never have placed it like they weren't certainly bad enough that we would have taken her for to go see what those symptoms were about. It was also could have been classified under, "Hey, you're just getting older, you misplaced your keys," whatever.
sure, yeah.
Um,
That's huge, though.
I know. So
Because
they
when Maggie told me hers was golf ball size, I mean, that sounded big, and I was like, "Damn," I mean, that felt like end of the
big.
world to me. Yeah.
Well, when you think about the average size of the inside of your head, it's actually not that big in there. I mean, because
Right,
your skull is pretty thick just to protect your brain. So it's
right.
not that much space in there. But they for my mom, they rushed her into surgery like immediately. And now again, looking back, I wish that we wouldn't have pulled the trigger so fast because I probably should have, searched out better hospitals, potentially a better brain surgeon, I don't know. But just to get a second opinion on how we should go about doing this. But we rushed in because they told us we should, and they removed her tumor. And then, due to a series of other things, she ended up having a very difficult recovery session. Um, And then she never spoke right again after that. It really impacted her ability to speak and communicate, truly. So then, after the surgery, but I'm getting nobody's here for like my mom's story, but so going back to the day that they did the surgery, she came successfully out of the brain surgery, and the surgeon had come to the waiting room to tell me that she was okay and she was recovering. And at that moment, she's like, "By the way, these can be genetic, so you might want to get checked." And I'm like, "Cool. This is something I want to deal with right this second, also."
Yeah.
So I didn't. I That was in November of 2017, but it's obviously stayed in the back of my mind, and I was like, "I probably should just go get scanned just to not worry about it."
Like, did anything that moment, like, feel did that when they told you that, did that feel real, or were you just like, "Man, whatever," like,
I
what are
was
the odds
just
that we both have brain tumors? I mean, that's,
Yes.
because who at that moment, Imma tell you what, when my sister said I had a brain tumor, it felt so or I found out she did, it felt so like nobody had brain tumors other than like you and like her,
And,
you know what
like
I mean? I was like, "There's 2 people on this planet that have brain tumors, like Holly
and I know both of them.
and I know both of them, so, like, that's it. So, well, like, literally no one else has them, so it's fine." Um, did it feel, like, isolating in that moment? Because, like, it just doesn't feel like there's anyone in that moment that has them until I think I talked about it last week, and then all of a sudden it feels like everyone has a brain tumor, like, literally, like, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard over the last 7 days
Mm.
that, now it feels like, am I the only one? I'm almost a little jealous that I don't have one, where I'm like, it's like a cool club now that
Don't be
literally everyone
jealous.
has.
Do
Well, I'm
not
not,
be jealous.
I shouldn't knock on wood, but it feels like everyone has. I mean, so many stories have come out now of
That
brain
makes me
tumors.
feel good.
Yeah, tons. I mean, tons, 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 tons. I mean, I'm shocked with how many people have dealt with them and how like great the surgeries have gone and how back to normal lives they've gone. And so, did in that moment though, did that feel like a real worry, or were you just like, whatever?
It did not feel like it didn't
Yeah,
feel real because I was
yeah,
dealing with such a stressful situation that was very real, that
sure,
had tangible, like, I was having to figure out, like, okay, my mom had been taking Maya to preschool daily. I'm like, immediately, how are we filling that gap? How am I filling the childcare gap in general? And so then how do I care for my mom who is going to be needing rehab and all this other stuff? And I'm like, I do not have time to worry about a potential brain tumor when I'm clearly not having any symptoms. Whatever. I sort of just
right,
put it in the back of my mind,
sure.
because I had never heard, well, and yeah, so I had never heard of this thing either until my mom had it, and, turns out actually my aunt also has one, but
Wait, what?
right, so she
I did not
knew
know
about it.
that.
Yeah, I didn't know really either, I didn't pay much attention, I guess, but my aunt knew about it, knew about hers before we ever discovered my mom's, and
Good
so
God.
apparently it does run. I have some thoughts on how it's genetic and whatnot, but anyway, it was weird. But the reasoning is that I waited because I had to deal with all of that stuff. And my mom, like I said, had a tough recovery because it wasn't just that she was recovering from brain surgery. She had like aspirated on food and nearly died from that after the recovery.
Jeez,
Had to be put
man.
back under. Everything was touch and go. And then she was just not the same
Mhm.
after that. And I don't know if it was because of the brain surgery or because of that secondary thing. And then she had a pulmonary embolism, which is like blood clots in your lungs. Like,
Ugh.
life
That's
was trying to
I
take
mean,
this woman out.
rough. Rough, rough, rough. Yeah, I mean, that's
So
really
I was like, I'm not dealing with all that. So by the time June of 2018 rolled around, things had calmed considerably. And I was like, all right, let me just go get this scan. Let me just get the MRI. And I went in fully just expecting that everything was going to be fine. I don't know if that's just my nature to figure out, like, I think I feel like everything's always going to be fine. That's kinda like my first operating mode, so I wasn't even stressed out. I was just, "Let me check this box so that we can move on with this."
yeah.
And so I went and got the MRI and then, promptly forgot about that. I'm like, "Well, that's the end of that story." And I think it was about a week or maybe 2 weeks later that I was in Target shopping for bathing suits for my kid in like, little kids' bathing suit section in Target, and my phone
Where
is ringing, and
where
I'm like,
everyone is, where they get, like, great news, you know what I mean?
I know! I'm, like, holding all these luckily, I was by myself, so I'm holding all these bathing suits, and the phone rings, and I see that it's my doctor, and I'm like, "Oh, well, I should probably take this. This is probably at least something." So I'm like, "Hello," and she's like, "Hi. So, as it turns out, we did find something in the MRI." And
Oh,
that's
no.
when I full on pause, like, life changes from then on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm here, and I'm like, and I knew I
Well,
was like,
especially after everything went through with your mom. I mean, it
right.
wasn't like it was just some easy peasy surgery. Like some of the stories I've heard that have been so, oh yeah, like I mean, some of the stories I've heard, and I was fearful. I talked about this last podcast. Is obviously, and you know this well. Once you put a story out into the universe for everyone to have consumption of, is you have to deal with the consequences of hearing typically the best and the worst case scenarios. You don't really hear the stories in the middle. You
That's
only hear
true.
people that have really, really good experiences and really, really bad experiences. People love to tell you those 2 extremes.
Yeah.
And, so I think that I was really relieved that I only heard really, really good ones, but, you had dealt with, clearly with your mom, this really, really bad experience, and so now you're like, "Holy shit," like,
And that was my only experience, keep in mind,
yeah,
because and my aunt, but, like, for some reason that never connected. I don't know, because I think it's because they never got to a point where they wanted to take hers out. So it's just still hanging out in the back of her head. I mean, this woman is 81 years old. So I guess
yeah.
we all just kind of figured, oh, well, Auntie Pearl's just dealing with it. Oh, well. So it was not even in the universe. The only experience I had was my mom being rushed to the hospital and then the absolute fallout. So when I get this news and and I did find the irony in the fact that I'm like sitting there holding a bunch of bathing suits, and I'm like, "Well, I just got the worst news, and now my story is I was in a Target with bathing suits." But, it's actually funny,
Holding a bunch of little kid bathing suits.
so I just sat down in one of the
Crying,
Target seats, and I was,
crying in the kids section of the bathing suits.
"Dang
Everyone's
it!"
staring at you.
I think I put him down. I'm
Security
like, "I
comes up,
gotta leave. I can't do."
ask you to leave.
Yeah. Um,
You can't go back to that Target anymore. You had to find a new Target.
no, no, it is my Target, and so I'm
That's
like,
good. Okay,
"Oh,
that's good then. That's
there's
good.
there's my
Glad you
spot."
work past that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
but so I was like, "Well," and I remember the doctor was like, "It's pretty small," and so I was like, "Okay, well, that sounds like good news, I
Yeah.
guess." So, she's like, "I don't know if." Oh, it was a different, okay, so I still my mom was still in active, like, being watched by a doctor, so I went to her same brain surgeon who was like, "Oh, yeah, well, we should go ahead and take that out," and, like, it was too much for me at that moment to be like,
Mhm.
my mom is not well right now, and you're telling me that I need to go get the same thing? And I realize that everyone's surgical, journey is different, but in that moment, all I could think about was, "That's what happened to her, so that's what's going to happen to me." And I was like, are we sure we have to take it out right now?" And she's like, "Well, you're young enough, we probably should." Um, and I went and saw a couple of different, like, she told me I should look into potentially gamma knife radiation, which is
Mm.
like a radiation where they just shoot a laser into the tumor and it supposedly stunts it so it does not grow. Because the thing with
Mm.
meningiomas is that they're just slow growing over time. Or they just kind of halt, but typically they just grow very slowly over time. And so I went and saw the gamma knife lady, and she was like, "I think you're young enough. You should just get it taken out surgically." And I was like, "I don't want to do
Damn.
that.
Right.
Can you
No,
help
that
me
the one.
out?"
Yeah, tell me the other one. Yeah, exactly.
So, they basically told me no, and everything was, I just remember it being very confusing at the time because my mom, we were still dealing with all the stuff with my mom.
Right.
So, I found that out in 2018, and I was like, "Can we just, I mean, is anything in danger of happening now? Because can we just wait? I'd rather just wait because I'm dealing with a lot." And they're like, "Yes, that's an option. It's called like the wait and watch option." I was like, "Let's do that for right now." And because I really wanted to do research on this, and I wanted to, unlike my mom, rush into just jumping into it, especially with that same surgeon. And so we waited, and then because a lot of people were like, "Well, I couldn't live thinking, oh my god, I have a tumor in my head." That's one of the things that doctors told
Right.
me.
That was like my sister was she kinda just wanted to get it over with, right? She was
Right.
kinda just like, "I'd rather just" I think and I understand, I think the anxiety of it,
Yeah,
every time I had a headache, I'm like, "Well, there's the old tumor again," like, I don't
I know.
personally, I don't know I can handle it.
Well, that's what one of my doctors said. They're like, a large portion of people are like, "Get this out of my head. I
Yeah,
can't handle the thought. It would consume me." And I'm like, "Oh, not
yeah.
me. I just go days on end without even remembering I
I
have a
love it.
brain tumor.
Yeah.
Push it right to the back." Not the tumor itself, obviously, the thought about the tumor. So I I wanted to get a full-on second opinion, though. So I went and found, because 'cause I'm in Tampa, I went to Tampa General, and actually I talked about it on the radio because I was like, "Who's got a good
Oh, yeah.
suggestion? Like, let me crowd."
Don't you love that? Don't you love that perk? Oh, trust
Yes.
me. If there's anything we radio people love is talking about our issues that we love getting pushed to the front of the line for. If so need be. It's like,
Yes.
"Hey, listen, is there anybody that knows
Yeah. I
the
will pull
best
that
brain
cord if
surgeon
it's
in Tampa?"
important. Yes.
Yeah.
So I did, and I got a couple of recommendations, and I think I got 3 people that reached out to me about good brain surgeons, and 2 of them named the same guy. And I
Huh.
was like, "I'm seeing that guy." So
Yeah.
he's over at Tampa General, which is it's a learning hospital. It's attached to the university. So, um, I met with that guy in 2021 because the other doctor was lining me up for surgery in
Mm,
2021, right post pandemic. Like, I'm talking 2020. She's like, "We need to get this done." And I was making plans with Miguel. We were going to have to find some, because I'm like, I don't know how long this is going to take me out.
right,
Let's
yeah.
find someone that can, like, substitute co-host for maybe potentially a month. I don't know.
Right.
And I talked to your
'Cause that could I
sister.
mean, truly, it's like, how do you know? I mean, with professionally, you wouldn't have
No,
known how that was gonna affect you.
no. And that's what I talked to your sister about too. Is she was saying that she was confused, about like what kind of recovery process there were. And I was like, I had no idea when I was you know, in that phase where it's like, well, you're trying to ask questions, and the doctors were like, yeah, no big deal, whatever. But like, to you, it's of course a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Um, so I'm making plans for all this. And then that's when I was like, let me please just get a second opinion, go to this doctor at USF at Tampa General. I and that guy, like, super highly recommended, renowned brain surgeon, was like, "Oh," he's like, it's fairly small." He's like, "It's growing, so we obviously wanna keep an eye, and you're not having any symptoms." I'm like, "No, I really am not." And because I guess depending on obviously where it is in your brain, it would affect different things. So, for example, the reason I think my mom's mess with her cognition and her speech so much is because it was near, think of like right above like your left temple and like kind
Mhm.
of back towards your ear. And that area of your brain controls memory, speech, a lot of cognitive things. And so that's why she had issues with speech. So
Mm,
mine is basically at the very top of my head, just to the left of center.
okay.
And that would impact like possibly muscle weakness on my right side. And
Mm.
so he said, "You're not feeling any tingling or numbness or anything, weakness in your arms or legs on the right side." And I was like, "No, I really am not." And he's like, "Then if you want to wait," he's like, "there's no issue with that. Just get scanned every year. And if it gets to a certain size, then maybe we'll talk about removal." And so after he told me that in 2021, I full on just was like, "Oh, well, I'm just living with a brain tumor." That was my
Does it
choice.
does it not freak you out, though? Like,
No.
every time so, like, every time, like, your arm twitches, are you not like, "Ah, tumor?" Like, I don't know that, like, I don't know which way I would go, honestly, I don't and I don't wanna freak you out, but I think of it both ways. I think of it the way my sister was like, "I gotta have it out of my head." I think about it your way because I having brain surgery sounds absolutely terrifying too, where it's like, I think you guys are really stuck with it with a hard decision of like, which way do I want to manage this? Because it's like, I'm sure terrifying both ways. And
Yeah.
especially with what you saw with your mom, I'm sure you were like, oh, I'm not going through that shit either, you know?
Right. That was mainly my decision making, because had I had a situation pop up like your sister with no prior knowledge of anything about a meningioma,
Yeah.
and I mean she went to a great hospital, um,
Yeah.
I I probably would have done the same thing she did. because
Mhm.
I'm also not, like I'm always like, well, the best outcome is going to happen. So I'll go for that.
Yeah.
But because I had just seen
Yeah,
this
right,
whole
right,
thing
right.
play out with my mom,
Totally understand.
I was like, I'm still like, that terrifies me
Yeah,
because
I get it.
that incapacitated her and she was not the same person. And now
Well
I didn't tell your sister that. Like, I was like, she went through a whole other, my mom, that was a whole other thing. So don't worry about that. That's not a
Yeah.
big deal.
But I guess also seeing your aunt though too, who's lived with hers and, like, her whole life, it's almost like
Right.
you're seeing both sides of the spectrum to where you're like, "Well, why would I do this if I don't have to?" Like, there's a really good chance this may never become an issue, so why would I dig into my head if I don't have to? So you're kinda living on both sides of the spectrum, and
Yes.
I think I can also see that side too, where like, why would I do this?
You hit the nail on the head because it's like, if I don't have to have someone digging around in my literal brain, if I don't
Yeah.
have to, do I want to?
Right. Yeah.
Not really.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Especially because 'cause I'm not and your sister obviously was having some symptoms. I
Right.
am still,
Yeah,
please,
that's
knock
true.
on wood, I am not having any symptoms. Now, to your other point, this was probably, like, maybe 6 months ago. I came home from like, on my drive home from work, my right hand, my pinky, and, like, just all of my right hand actually was really numb, and it felt a little cold, and I was like, this is it. This is the
Yeah.
brain tumor. This is the brain tumor.
Right.
It's calling. And I got home and I was starting to panic about it, but I'm like, let's not panic. Let's just think about things like, and so I was in a moment of like, holy crap, this is real. And then I realized I had a hairband on my wrist that had cut my circulation off. So it wasn't the tumor. It was my hair tie. And then my fiance came downstairs and I was like, "Ah, I thought I was gonna have brain surgery, but I just had a hair tie on my wrist
I'd be
too quick."
calling, I'd be scheduling that appointment, I'd be like, this is it, it's taking me out." I'd be writing my funeral notes, I'd be like, "Listen, this is it, y'all, I think I'm done," and that's what I'm talking about, but it'd be everything.
Yes,
I'd have a
well, for you,
cold
it
and
would be.
I'd just be like, "Well, I'm pretty sure it's a brain tumor," like, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I
I don't think that
I couldn't handle it, and my sister's the same way, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
we're cut from the same cloth, like, it's just like we couldn't handle it, but yeah, but I could see how you'd think that, like, why would you assume it was the hair tie when
When I have a literal brain, you ever see those memes that are like, "I don't know if I am dehydrated or stressed or I have a brain tumor or blah," and they're
Yeah,
like silly fun memes. I'm like,
yeah,
it's not silly fun when you actually have them.
I know. Actually, I'll tell a story over on More Mama's Boy, that I would not tell the story publicly, but I'll tell you a story that was so ill-timed brain tumor, humor. Um, I don't wanna talk about it over here, but I'll tell you
Oh,
some unfortunate
oh,
because you know how things only, like, really work out for me, like, and, like, it just it has to happen and just really bad timing for me.
yeah.
Um, I'll tell that over on More Mama's Boy. Anyway, so let's catch back up with you, so it's just so here we are. It's been how you've been diagnosed for how long now? So that was in 20
So 2018, so 8 almost 8 years.
and so you get scanned every year.
Right. Um,
It is growing
yeah.
or it's not?
No, it
Okay.
is.
And so what do you what's your plan?
So, it's
Or
really
is it
just
just
well, it's like, well, let's deal with that when I have to. That's kind of my plan.
okay. Yeah.
Let's deal with that when I have to. So my typical cycle is that I get scanned in like November, December every year,
Yeah.
and I'm like rabid about reading these results because they know, and then your doctor gets the notes, but like they don't tell you anything unless it's like crazy. So I'm like, I'm over here with like a CD, trying to find a computer that has a CD thing in it, and I'm then I turn into a
You go
crazy
to the library.
yes, like, I used to take it to work, and I'm like, "Who's got a CD player in their computer?" So, yeah, so then I'm over here, like, scanning through all the images myself just to see if I can see where it is and how big
Yeah.
I think it might be. But
Yeah.
then I realized that the MRI place can also send me the notes, and they make it
Mm.
pretty plain. And I was like,
Lot easier.
"Why didn't y'all tell me this?"
Just do
Cool.
that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I look at the notes every single year and I try to like I want to know the dimensions, like how much bigger are we talking? At this point, it's growing between 1 and 2 millimeters
Mm.
a year.
Small.
Small. So overall, I think now we are at the point where how big? It's about an inch around. Not perfectly round. It's a little bit oblong, but the biggest point I think is about an inch long.
Mm.
And so or maybe 2. Actually, I think I might have that wrong. I think it's probably pushing 3 inches now that I think about I think I'm confusing centimeters and inches. But anyway, so what I fear is we may be coming up to a point where we're pushing just how big they let it go before they're like,
Mm.
"Oh, we should probably take it out." And the problem is we were unemployed November when I usually get my
Oh,
scan,
right.
and so I'm like, well, I got to wait for insurance anyway. And so we started the new job in December. My insurance was not figured out yet. So I just put that off. And so in January, all the insurance is back to it's not the greatest insurance, I'm gonna be honest with you, but it's
Well,
better than nothing.
you know how these radio companies are nowadays.
Yes.
Thriving.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just lucky they'll cover something. I don't know. But maybe they'll cover something.
They
Actually,
give us Band-Aids when we get boo-boos, so that's good.
right.
Other than that,
They have a medicine cabinet at the workplace where I think they have some
we get free Tylenol.
off-brand Tylenol. Yeah.
Not even I shouldn't say Tylenol.
No, it's
I'm giving them too much
acetaminophen
credit.
and ibuprofen and whatever else. Yeah. So, not the best. But thanks to your sister and this whole thing coming up, I was actually planning on just skipping this year's scan. And she's like, no, let this be your reminder. And I'm like,
You're like, "Oh,
fine.
yeah, maybe I should.
So,
Maybe I
literally
should."
on Friday, I called my MRI place to try to get the ball rolling. So, I will
Mm,
be having my scan in the next month or so. Hopefully, insurance approves it because I have a brain tumor. So, I don't see why they wouldn't. Um,
right.
just to get a scan, just so I can keep an eye on it. And I also, once I get that info, my plan is my next step has always been to reach back out to the really well known, my second opinion doctor, the guy over at
Mm,
USF. And say, circle back, because I hadn't seen him since 2021. It's been 5 years. And so circle back to him and say, okay, I did the waiting for 5 years, still don't have symptoms. What are your thoughts? Can I keep waiting? Is this something we should look into? What are we dealing with? So that is always in the back of my mind. Like
yeah.
at some point I may have to deal with this, but again, you do have somebody like my aunt who never took it out.
Right. So
Well,
it's just it's like a year by year process. Like unless something starts getting crazy, you just kind of deal with it year by year
yeah, yeah.
until that hairband finally catches up with you. And
And then I'll be like, "Oh
then you
god, I waited too long. Damn it." So
then you got to worry about it. Until then, though, it's just kind of a waiting game.
yes.
But I think you manage. I mean, Holly's always been. I will say this. I've known Holly for a long. We've been knowing each other for a long time now. You've had a lot come your way. You've and there for a while, man.
It
You
was all the things.
you do be dealing with a lot of shit there for a minute, man. It was like because I do be dealing with a lot of shit.
Yes.
But anytime my life was going crazy, I'm like, well, at least I'm not Holly.
No,
So
but
thank you
really
for that.
though, I mean, at
It
least
could
it
always be
wasn't.
worse. I could be Holly O'Connor. So like that's got me through the worst of days. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
truly
swear to
hope
God,
that it can help some people that like, well, this is bad, but it's not Holly bad
I mean,
because we really
you and I both just go through the craziest shit, man. It's just like God, like it's just the weirdest scenarios of like, oh God, like man, just like thing after thing after thing of just yeah, we've really we've seen some shit. We've seen some shit.
correct. And I'm just like, what? And like, you can be like, well, why me? Why am I dealing with all this right now? But like, why anybody that ever has to deal with any of these things?
I know.
We get them. But at the same time, like, there was a span. Honestly, it was from probably around the time that I got divorced because that was very difficult. So
Yeah.
that was in like 2015. So the span of time, this decade, 2015 to 2025, it was rough. It was
Yeah.
a rough,
No.
truly rough decade. There were obviously high points and good moments and like, great things that happened, but I would say the overarching theme was like, you know what? Holly's gonna go through the dark night of the soul
Yeah.
and, figure out life from a different perspective and, change some things around. And so I truly feel like 2025 for me felt like a lot of things were ending, like the bad stuff.
Yeah.
It felt like I was literally stepping into a new year this new year. So I'm gonna stick with that. And if I have to deal with a brain tumor at some point, obviously I will. But, I feel as though, knock on wood, like I'm in a bit of a calmer, perhaps a calmer phase, just calm.
Do you say that with intrepidation, or do you believe it?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I want to believe it.
Because I feel like every time I say that too, I'm like, "Yep, it's gonna be like, this is gonna be a good year." Because I've tried that the last, like, because keep in mind, I've been kind of down a similar path. I mean, not we've dealt with different shit, but
It's different shit, but, like, the same
it's
level
just
of
like, "Oh my god,
traumatic.
now it's this, and now it's that, and now it's this, and now it's that."
Yeah.
Um, but I kind of feel like now I got the same thing. I kinda feel like it's maybe it's lifting a little bit, right?
But you're always
But
kind of
I'm
waiting for the other shoe to drop?
yes! Like, I'm like, "Ooh," like, I'm walking into this new chapter, I feel confident, I feel good, like, but at the same time, I'm, like, scared to get comfortable in it.
Yeah, because it felt like for so many years, it was just like, "Oh, that was the worst of it. Surprise!
Right,
No, it's
right.
not.
No, right, it just got worse.
Here's some new shit that you never even thought about."
What, I got jumped. Oh my god, brain trauma for years, oh my god, like, that was wild, didn't see that one coming,
Yes,
holy shit, like, oh.
clearly, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
like, I think I'm walking into this new chapter just like, "Okay, like, I'm not gonna, like it's not new year, new me, like, I'm just walking I'm here, but, like, yo, like, I don't let's just be chill, everybody, like,
I know.
like,
Like, can we
just"
all just be cool? Like, it does feel kinda like, can we are we all are you good? Are we
right, like,
good?
nothing bad has happened in a little bit of time, and I'm just like, "Okay, shh, shh,
Y
shh, shh, shh,
yes,
like, be quiet. Don't
yes.
let the universe know that, like, it's been a little bit chill."
I feel like I'm like, "Let me not get too excited about the calm, because if I do, someone's gonna come and be like, 'Oh, you again, bitch, here's this.'"
Oh, you've been peaceful for a little bit? Alright, well, let me shake this shit up
I know.
because
I know.
you're due. You're overdue for some shit, so
And honestly, I do feel like, what was my 20s? It was pretty calm. I'm like, I took it for
I
granted.
you know what Imma say, and I told my sister this too. I don't know if maybe your 30s is just made to be chaotic. I'm watching a couple people too that, like, their 30s is, like, turning out to be pretty chaotic. I'm like, "Maybe your 30s is meant to be chaotic, and then hopefully 40s is, like, just calms down a little bit." And I don't know yet. Obviously, we're just kind of we're young 40s,
Some of us.
younger
Some of
young
us.
younger 40s,
Younger,
younger
40s.
40s,
Mine was,
younger
like,
40s.
weird mine was, like, a over a mid-lap, like, mid-30s to
I mean, I
I
got jumped in like 2 months into my 40s, but like,
oh,
it bleeds in the 40s, like bleeds in, but then like
yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping that it's just I don't know. I don't know what it is, but
Well,
hopefully things smooth out
I think
into this.
30s can be chaotic, but I always remember my mom being like, "The 30s were the best years of my
Oh,
life." And as I was
shit.
in my 30s, I was like,
Oh,
"This
shit.
shit."
This is it. This is it. Like this is what I was waiting for.
So
This is awful.
it's different for everybody.
Maybe.
Everybody, I think, does have to go through some shit. I feel like some people don't have to go through as much shit, but to
Yeah.
them, it's a lot.
Right.
So I don't know. It's like everybody's got to go through a time in life where you're like, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah, and I didn't think I was going to. I remember and I'll tell you the story on this side, but anyway, I'll give you a Maggie update. So, I remember and this is the here's a Miguel story for you.
Hmm,
It was I was in Phoenix, and I don't even remember what prompted me to tell Miguel this, but I remember telling him, like, "I feel bad that I don't ever have any hardships to, like, talk about on the radio, that, like, I feel like I've gotta start making hardships up to
oh,
be
God.
relatable because nothing bad ever happens to me." And then I swear to God, it wasn't a month later when, like, that's when, like, my weird ear condition thing, that kicked in, and then, like, then it was just, like, thing after thing after fucking thing after it was almost like the universe like, "Oh, you
I
need
was
some
going to say,
fucking content?"
the universe was like, again, you said it too loud, and the universe was like, oh, you want to have some shit? I'll give you some shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, here you go.
right.
Here's a decade of content for you. Maybe you can start a podcast with your mother one day. And certified mama's boy was born, and here we are
Oh,
6
and
years
look,
later. So
it's such a
what a
long-standing delight.
what
People
a treat. What a treat this has been for so many people.
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Maggie. So, the surgery, I mean, I can only tell you what I know, which is very little. I have very little understanding of how this works. Um, I think all in all went very well. The surgery got delayed. It's supposed to start 10:30 on Friday. She didn't go back till about 2:30,
Oh,
which I can't imagine laying there in the hospital and like having to like sit
wait
there for 4
on
hours
it.
when like they're like and like
Yeah,
apparently they just kept giving her anxiety medicine because I can't imagine like
yeah,
and
because
I'd
you're
be the
just
same way. Like, can you imagine laying there and then, like the bed being like, all right, so like this is gonna happen, is it not?
right.
They took her back. I think the surgery all in all took I think about 5 hours, which like that's a long time, I
Yeah,
guess. How long did your mom take? Do you remember?
mm,
I mean, obviously your mom's was bigger, but
I think hers took about 6 or 7 hours because it
okay,
was
so yeah,
bigger.
I guess that I mean, I guess they take I mean, I don't know how these things work,
You don't
but I
want
guess
someone taking their time when they're digging around your brain?
I mean, I
Take all the
guess
time you need,
I
okay?
guess it's like you don't want the fast one. You don't want the quick version. I guess you want to really get in there and
It's not a race.
yeah, that's true. I
It's
guess
not
you wanted to
competition.
get in there
I
and
don't wanna
yeah,
come in clocking under, 2 hours. Good for you, you get a prize. No. Take
you
your
can take your
time.
time. Take your time and get it done. So I guess I was texting with Holly. She'd asked how it had gone, and they weren't able to get all of it out. And I guess that can be kind of normal. Um, they didn't seem to be too concerned about that.
Okay.
That didn't seem to be like a huge issue. I don't know why they couldn't, and I'll have to get more information about what that means. But
Well,
I,
I can tell
I-
you just from experience, and this might be inaccurate because I don't know her specifics, but it might whatever area that the tumor was touching might have been a sensitive area that you could do more harm than good if you really
mm,
tried to push it and get that little bit. You know what I mean?
right. That's what I was
Um,
assuming. Maybe they were just like, no, don't mess with that. Like,
right,
it ain't worth it.
right.
So I'll tell you what the freakiest part was is that my phone goes into do not disturb about 7:30, and but I can still obviously you can bypass that or scroll up and see your notifications. So I checked my phone maybe around 9 that night, and this is on Friday, and all of a sudden I have all of these like missed calls from like my family, and I had like 4 FaceTimes from my sister, and I was like,
What?
how is my sister? And I was like kind of worried. I was like, is this the doctor? Like,
Who's
asking.
got her phone? What's going
I'm
on?
like, who? Like, it kind of freaked me out. So I'm like, is this a ghost? Like, I don't I don't know. I didn't. I honestly didn't know because I'm like, who is face? Like, I wouldn't think that like somebody would want to like FaceTime. Like, they just came out of brain surgery. I mean, I'm like, the hell is happening? But I'm checking text messages like, hey, your sister's trying to FaceTime you. I'm like, is she like, I'm thinking the worst, right? I'm having like the worst. So, I FaceTime her back or she, I think John, her husband, texts me. It's like, she wants to FaceTime you. I'm like, hey, like kind of worried. Um, and yeah, so she comes on and she's like, hey, I'm like, hey, she's like, yeah, it went good. And she's clearly on, she's out of it,
You're
like,
on the good meds.
she's on the good meds, y'all. Whatever that was, it was like the good meds. So, but yeah, so she was talking. She was pretty coherent. I mean, other than you could just tell she was on not quite with it.
Right.
But
And
she
the
was
anesthesia is still wearing off.
sure. But all things considered, I mean, she looked a little crazy. But other than that, like she showed me like the place in her head where they had to like. I mean, clearly it was like bandaged up, but like, I guess it was like closer to like the back of her head where they had gone in. But she was in really good spirits. I think all things considered, it went as well as it could have gone. And she was talking. She stayed all day Saturday. We're recording this episode on Sunday. She came home midday Sunday, so she was there for 2 days. They had her walking.
That's wild.
Um,
I'm
I
sorry. I mean, like, wild on the amazing side. Like, just given what
Yeah,
my mom went through, I'm like,
right.
"Wow, you could have brain surgery and be home in 2 days?"
I know, yeah. So I think all things considered, it went really, really smooth. Now, of course, it's like the recovery part, but I think everyone's in a really good headspace with like how it all went. So for everyone that's been listening and kind of following this journey, I know that you guys have only known the journey for about, a month. And honestly, we haven't had it much longer than that. We've only had it for, yeah, since since your birthday actually. We
Mm,
found out, well, the day before your birthday. We
yeah,
found out on the 31st. So for you guys that have been like watching this and kind of keeping up the last week, we really appreciate all the prayers and everything else because obviously it was a really long month, and for you guys it was a really long week.
yeah.
Obviously we're not out of the woods yet. We're not quite sure how this will all play out with everything, but I think all things considered, it went really, really well. So
That's
really
I'm so
thankful,
glad. I'm so glad.
yeah, for all that. So appreciate you being so open with your situation
Absolutely.
and taking the time
Listen,
to.
I'll always talk about you could have actually texted me earlier. I know we were getting the morning show off the ground and everything, but, like, life is life. If you have something that's especially something that I have an expert authority on, just
You're like, I love brain tumor talk.
come at me with it.
Well, hopefully you love talking about the next topic too, as much as I want you to bring that energy as we enter into
Ah,
more Mama's Boy over here. So
okay.
this is gonna be the end of Certified Mama's Boy. Hopefully you guys will join us over on more Mama's Boy on Thursday. Here, I'm gonna